Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me for the One Man, One Mic show. This is the very first episode, and I thank you for joining me on this journey. And today we have a simple yet could be controversial topic to discuss for the very first show. So today we're going to break down which is more valuable, the Washington Redskins or the Washington football team. Now, this topic comes from a clerk at a sports store I was recently at. And the clerk had told me that Washington Redskins memorabilia was selling out by the pound because people said that it was going to be skyrocketing in value coming very soon. And this kind of made me scratch my head. And I even kind of confronted the store clerk, probably unfairly to her, about this and said, why would Redskins memorabilia be more valuable than football team memorabilia? And she kind of gave me a look and said, well, they're the football team right now, so if people think that Redskins is going to go up in value because that's not their name anymore. But the way that I see it, football team memorabilia is going to be a lot harder to come by 10 years from now. Because when it comes down to it, they are not going to be the Washington football team forever. And I don't care what Dan Snyder says or what the media says about the fans embracing the name. It's the butt of every joke when it comes to the NFL right now. Anybody that loses to them, you see it all over social media. You lost to a team with no name. And you can't tell me that those players on that team are excited about playing for a team with no name. And just imagine if they found a way to win the Super Bowl this year against all odds. Roger Goodell and the NFL would have to get up in front of the world and claim that a team with no name is the 2020 world champions. That is not a good look. Not in the slightest. So, when I look at it and when I think about the future, there's no way that Washington is going to keep this name. So, let's break it down from the beginning. They were known as the Washington Redskins from 1937 until basically 7 months ago. So that is 82 years in which they went by one name. 82 years in which they were recognized for one nickname, one logo, one identity. You can go on eBay right now, you can go on Amazon, you can go anywhere and type in Washington Redskins and get 50,000 results, I guarantee you. But you go somewhere and you type in Washington football team, you're going to get a fraction of those results, and half of the results you actually do get are still going to be Washington Redskins memorabilia. So you have to think, you have 82 years of memorabilia, jerseys, merchandise that you can scour the internet for, scour sports stores for, scour everything, and come across these things. And you're going to have a 2 to maybe 4 year period, hopefully not that long for their case, in which they were known as one identity, being the Washington football team. I'll put this into an example right now. When I went to the sports store, I asked her if they had any football team memorabilia, just to state my case basically. They have one item, one thing, and it was a mini football helmet they sold for $29.99. That's it. No jerseys, no t-shirts, no hats, no tumblers, no cups, no flags, nothing. Why? Because not even these sports stores are taking it seriously. That's going to be their name going forward. So what I'm saying is, if you're one of these people out there and you are trying to buy out Washington Redskins shit just so you can sell it, stop buying that. Go buy the Washington football team shit, if you can even find it. Because Redskin stuff is not going to mean anything 10 years from now. You might find a diehard Redskins fan that really wants some, and more power to them. But if you're looking at it strictly from a selling point, football team is where you want to be. Get your hands on a Chase Young rookie jersey that says Washington on it. Because whenever they come up with the new nickname, inevitably, whether it's 2022, whether it's 2023, I think they've already locked in 2021 as being the football team. But whenever they do inevitably come up with another nickname, the stuff that is released within this 2 or 3 year gap is going to be a lot more valuable than the stuff that was released in the 82-year gap before that. And I mean, that's just the truth of it, because this will be the first time in the NFL we've had in since the Titans and Oilers, I think, that I guess it would be the Ravens and Browns, in which a team has just completely rebranded itself. And, they're not relocating, not like the Browns did to Baltimore. They're just completely rebranding and creating a new identity for themselves to get away from an identity that, controversially, a lot of fans identify with and, quite frankly, didn't care to have changed. And, this kind of period in between is going to be, in my opinion, where the value is going to be when it comes to these people trying to resell things just for monetary gain in the future. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I could be talking out of my ass because, as I said, we've never experienced this, at least not in my lifetime, in which a team has stayed in the same location but completely rebranded themselves to something brand new without relocating, without building a giant new stadium, which, by the way, FedEx Field, you need one. This is the first time we've had this happen where a team has just up and vanished out of thin air and then came back as a completely new identity. So that's why I say this period right now, even if you're not a football team fan, go out and buy some, because you don't know 5 or 10 years from now, or hell, 30 years from now, what it's going to be worth. But, that's just my opinion when it comes to that. So, yeah. Anyway, on to the next topic. I'm new at this. So, I mentioned this in one of my sports groups, and I'll come on here and say it as well. The heat that is being given to Tua Tagovailoa is, in my opinion, what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess it's just unwarranted. That's the word I'm looking for, unwarranted. Because, and I'm going to bring this point up in a later video too, talking about the Eagles' mess that is their entire organization, which, yeah, you're going to hear all about that from a diehard fan. But I'm going to bring up a similar point here. Tua is in an age where quarterback efficiency is so inflated that a quarterback having a 100 passer rating is now classified as the norm. Meaning if you aren't slinging it for 100 passer rating, even as a rookie, if you're not in the high 90s or mid 90s, it's classified as a failure. And it's absolutely ridiculous to think about that. I mean, just take it for a second. How ridiculous is it to think that Tua Tagovailoa, who finished with an 87.1 passer rating, people are saying the Dolphins need to draft another quarterback with the number 3 pick. He did nothing wrong, in my opinion. 87.1, 6-3 record as a starter. Does he win games down the stretch? We don't know, because he was never given that opportunity this season. It seemed like every time the Dolphins got in that situation where they were down a possession, down 2 possessions, whatever it might have been, third or fourth quarter, we're going to bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I have nothing against Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's proven himself as a journeyman quarterback that can carry a team to wins when it needs to happen. Trust me, Tampa beat the shit out of Philly a few years ago. I was at the game. And Ryan Fitzpatrick was the one helming that team, unexpectedly. So, I don't have any problem with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but the fact of the matter is, when you have a rookie quarterback in there, a guy who has proven himself on the biggest stages in college, coming in as a true freshman at halftime in the national championship game, and leading that team into a national championship win by carrying them on his back, as a true freshman with his first real game time ever, he has proven on the biggest stages that he can get it done. And yet, for whatever reason, Brian Flores refuses to let him do that. And there's some people that have said, oh yeah, well, he's finished some games out and he just didn't finish strong. Look at his stats in the fourth quarter and blah, 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 blah. He's a rookie, okay? At the same time as people need to put all the trust they can in their rookie quarterbacks, in my opinion, you still have to identify the fact that they are a rookie. This is their first year. He's not Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was drafted in 2003, I want to say. 17 years maybe? I could be wrong on that. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure. But he's not Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's not a guy who's got this situation under his belt 100 times with 17 different teams. He's a rookie, so let him make mistakes. Let him fuck it up. If he's going to go out there and lose, then lose. But, in my opinion, it's going to be a confidence killer for Tua Tagovailoa when Brian Flores is basically saying, hey, we want to win games right now, so we're going to bench you because we think the other guy has the best chance. Now, I've never played quarterback in the NFL. Hell, I've never played quarterback at any level. But I have played football. And I can tell you that has to be a confidence killer, regardless of how, mentally strong Tua Tagovailoa is, or, what kind of grit he has, or whatever. It has to be wearing off on you a little bit if every time your team is in a situation in which you can shine and show, I'm the guy for this, they pull another guy in and say, we're going to do that with him. Now, I jokingly suggested this a handful of years ago when Carson Wentz was having health problems, which, by the way, he's not anymore, so that'll also be cleared up in another video. But when Carson Wentz was having health problems, and he wasn't finishing the last month or 3 weeks of the season, I suggested, let's just have Mariano Rivera, a.k.a. Nick Foles, come in right about week 14 and take over for Carson Wentz. He can start the rest of the regular season because Nick Foles is not proven in the regular season. So Carson Wentz can start weeks 1 through 13 or 14, put Nick Foles in for the playoffs and the end of the season. Perfect tag team. You can win, I don't know how many Super Bowls, and quite frankly, I don't give a shit about the stats or either quarterback. If we're winning Super Bowls, you can do it however you got to do it. But, that was all just me joking and fucking around. When it comes to actually doing it, you can't do it, especially when it comes to a rookie. Tua is in the most precarious situation when it comes to the rookie class of 2020 because every other rookie has been shown by his head coach and by his organization that they have confidence in them. That he is the leader, you are the future, and no matter what, we are standing behind you. Joe Burrow had it with Cincinnati. He started week 1 and looked pretty fantastic in his time. I mean, it's not his fault that his offensive line is all-time bad, that his defense is horrible, that Joe Mixon was hurt, that A.J. Green was hurt a lot, that, the list goes on and on with Cincinnati. They're a whole fucking mess. But it's not Joe Burrow's fault that the team struggled. He did what he needed to do, and nowhere along the way did you hear anybody say they didn't believe in Joe Burrow. You heard nothing but glaring reviews about his play. And the same goes with Justin Herbert. Some people would say he played even better. He set the standard for rookies this year, which I could agree with. Because Justin Herbert came out unexpectedly, was told maybe 20 minutes before a game that Tyrod's not going to go, you are, bud. And by the way, you're playing against the defending Super Bowl champions, Patrick Mahomes. And he took them to the wire in his first ever game. Nobody could have seen that coming. But nobody cared when it came to Los Angeles. He came out and did what he had to do, and they never looked back. I'm sorry, Tyrod. People can say whatever they want in the media. You lost your job the day that Justin Herbert stepped on that field. There was no turning back. And that's usually how it is with these rookie quarterbacks. Most of the time, once they step in for whoever the hell the guy is in front of them, there's no turning back. Which is why I've said for years, the age-old, we're going to draft a guy and have him sit behind some other guy, it's such a flawed philosophy anymore. And for every time that you can say it was proven right, I can give you 3 times that it was proven wrong. That's just how it is. Everybody's main thing is Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. People say Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre and, he mentored him and helped him become a better quarterback. You have no idea. from all that we've learned about Aaron Rodgers over the last 15 years, that dude was probably ready to fucking go rookie year. Like, Brett Favre could have went down with an injury, which, I mean, even if he did back in those days, nobody would have said anything. But Brett Favre could have went down with an injury in 2005, and I guarantee you Aaron Rodgers steps in, Packers don't miss a beat. Because he's got that natural ability to take over a game. So, that's one example. That's the prime example people give. People also say Steve Young and Joe Montana. But that's the prime example people give of it working. People saying that this is a formula that works. That if you sit him behind an experienced guy, it's going to do better for him. Now here's some counter arguments for you. Brock Osweiler. One of the going things we heard about Brock Osweiler was he's sitting behind Peyton Manning for 2-3 years, whatever it was. Somebody will correct me again. But he's sitting behind Peyton Manning. So by the time Peyton's done, or by the time Brock gets a chance to go on his own, he's going to be fantastic. Because it's Aaron Rodgers, right? It's the same situation. You're sitting behind a legend. Yeah, okay, we saw the Texans break the bank and pay Brock Osweiler, what was it, $78 million? And we all saw how that worked out. He was on, I think, 2 different teams the next 2 years. And, I mean, it continues to go. And especially, I can understand this situation, this philosophy. If you have a guy that is still a Pro Bowler, or he's a future Hall of Famer, or even a guy that you've already got locked into a $120 million deal and you're 2 years into it. If these are the situations and you're going to draft a guy, yeah, he needs to sit. You know, that's why every quarterback that they've drafted in New England behind Tom Brady never played. Because they kept thinking, we'll draft that future guy. But he never got the field. In like the Jordan Love situation in Green Bay right now. Understandable. Draft a guy, he's going to sit. My theory about this all is there's so many times that when you look at the example of the guy that they're sitting behind, it doesn't make any sense. Prime example, Justin Herbert this year. Tyrod Taylor is not a proven quarterback in this league by any stretch of the imagination. He's a journeyman. He's been on 3 or 4 different teams at this point. The fact that Tom Telesco and Anthony Lynn and all those guys came out this season and said, Tyrod is our guy week 1, it doesn't make any sense. Why sit Justin Herbert when you could just put him in from the very beginning and let him get those stripes? And it turns out they went 7-9 this year and improved by 3 or 4 wins. I think they might have had 4 last year. They went 7-9 this year and improved and made a run and won their last 4. And it just makes you think, maybe if you gave them the confidence from the beginning, they could have been 8-8. They could have been 9-7. And, you know, as I said, it's something that happens all the time, but yet people still want to put guys behind dudes that, but quite frankly, have no business being ahead of the rookies. If you're going to draft a rookie quarterback, think about it this way. And this doesn't apply to second rounders, third rounders, and so forth and so on, because those contracts aren't going to be breaking the bank on your team's salary cap. I'm talking about specifically guys you're taking in the first round of the draft. Okay? First round of the draft. If you're taking a guy, especially if it's top 10, top 5, if you're taking a guy in the first round, he needs to be starting day 1. Because what is it? Most first round contracts are 4 years with a 5th year option, I would say, for quarterbacks, usually. Think about it this way. If you sit that guy for 2 years, okay, say you have random journeyman quarterback A, Josh McCown, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Chase Daniel. You have a guy like that. And you say, this guy's been in the system. We know this guy. He's going to start week 1 over the rookie. And say you start that guy. And he goes into a pretty good run because he knows the offense. And starts 7, 8 weeks, maybe 9. Usually it's about 9 or 10 that these teams let this go on unless there's an injury. And then you're 4-6, 3-7, whatever, 2-8, and you decide, okay, it's time. We're going to put the other guy in. We're going to put the rookie in. We're going to put the guy we invested our franchise in. We're going to put the guy in that on draft day, all of our fans sat down in front of a TV and waited for us to call his name. And more often than not, this guy, and in this example, we'll just say these are the guys that succeed, okay? So, you put a guy in, he succeeds. Maybe he goes 3-3 to finish the year. Maybe he goes 4-2. But he shows a lot of promise. He shows that he can lead a team. So now you know, great, we have our guy. Boom. Next year, it's his team. The problem with this formula, you just wasted a year. A whole year, basically, of his career, of a 4, potentially 5-year contract, is gone because you decided you wanted to sit him behind another guy. And usually in these situations, a guy that isn't proven, a guy that's a journeyman, a guy that you're going to start just because he knows the offense. But why? Because as I said, most of the time, when you put these rookies in, I can pull up so many examples from the last 4 or 5 years, but when you put these rookies in and you give them the opportunity to start, they exceed. Dak Prescott in Dallas, for example. Tony Romo was told, this is your team still. Yes, we drafted your replacement in the 4th round, but it's still your team. As soon as Dak Prescott took over, everybody knew it's over. Tony, you might as well retire because you're never getting that job back. Now, Dak Prescott's an outlier because he's a 4th round pick, and I said I'm not really going to talk about them. So, but either way, still more to my point. These rookie quarterbacks are so just ready. I don't know what it is these days, but I feel like these rookie quarterbacks are so much more prepared now than they ever have been in the past. And the fact that people are still drafting guys 1st round and sitting them doesn't make any sense to me. Because even in the situation where you have a veteran, even in the situation where you're sitting behind a Drew Brees or an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady, these are guys that are going to play for 2 or 3 years probably. Like for example, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers is not slowing down, dude. This guy's going to play at least another 2 years in my opinion. So by the time Aaron Rodgers hangs it up, let's just say hypothetically, after the 2022 season, Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old, says, okay, I think I'm done. Let's just say that. Probably not, but for argument's sake. Say he says, I'm done. Jordan Love would be going into his contract year by the time he took the reins of the team. And let's say hypothetically that Jordan Love succeeds. Let's say that Jordan Love comes in his first year and throws 30 touchdown passes and 9 picks, and the team wins 12 games. Well, now you don't have the luxury of being like, oh, he's on a rookie deal. Let's build a team around him because he's costing us so little. No. Now he's in a contract year right off the bat, in the first year you get to negotiate with him. And now he has all the chips on his side of the table. Now he can be like, oh, well, I want max contract. I want this, this, and this. And if you don't, there's probably 5 other teams that are willing to pay me this, this, and this. Because my value is up. And your value is going to go down without me. And I personally don't understand the drafting a guy high and not starting him. As a football fan myself, if we are drafting a guy in the 1st round, regardless of position, but especially quarterback, if we're drafting a guy in the 1st round, that guy needs to be on the field week 1. Not any of this, he needs to be benched for development bullshit. Week 1, I want to see him on the field. That way we know as early as possible whether our pick paid off or not. If a guy sucks, I want to know that by week 8. I don't want to know that by week 6 of his 3rd year. And with quarterback, it's even more prevalent. Because quarterback's a position that there is no gray area. You either have it or you don't. You're either the guy or you're not. And if you're drafted in the first round, you need to know immediately, do we have the guy or not? The Eagles, for example, when we drafted Carson Wentz, to be honest, I wasn't happy about it. I loved Carson Wentz as a player. I had him going to Cleveland that year in my mock draft. But I wasn't happy about it because I felt like we had bigger needs on the team. But we drafted him, so no matter what happened, I wanted him on the field in 2016. And 2016 was a rough year, but he was a rookie. 3 years after that, solid. And this past year, we'll talk about that later. But I mean, if you're a rookie, if you're a GM, if you're a head coach, if you're a owner of a team, in my opinion, you can't sit on these guys. You just can't do it. There's so many guys that are ready. Phillip Rivers, another example. They kept Phillip Rivers behind Drew Brees in San Diego for his first 2 years. He didn't see the field. Drew Brees tears his rotator cuff. Everybody thinks he's done. Phillip Rivers comes in and does solid. He leads San Diego for the next 14 years. But San Diego lost the first 2 years of his contract because of that. Patrick Mahomes, another prime example. They lost an entire year of Patrick Mahomes' career. A whole year. Alex Smith is solid. He was doing very solid while he was in Kansas City. And to be honest, his 2017 year was probably the best year of his career, his last year there in Kansas City. But it's a hindsight thing. Now you see what Patrick Mahomes has done for 3 straight years. And the otherworldly player that he is. And it makes you think, God, what if they started him as a rookie? And he was another first-round pick, by the way, in case you forget. So it's one of those things, like, what if they started him as a rookie? Imagine Patrick Mahomes' 2018 season, if it happened as his rookie year in 2017. He throws 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards as a rookie. And then they win the Super Bowl a year earlier in 2018. And then who knows what they would have done last year. And these are all hypotheticals, obviously. But, when you look at a player like that, you just can't help but think, what if this guy would have started his rookie year? Instead of us drafting a guy and letting the old guy hang on longer because of whatever magical reason we made up in our head. Because it's the right thing to do. Because he knows the offense. Because he doesn't make mistakes. Which is all true things with Alex Smith. He doesn't make mistakes. He's a good guy, so you don't want to do anything to upset him or mistreat him or make him feel like he was done wrong. You know what I mean? But as a Chiefs fan, if I was a Chiefs fan, I would say I would be looking at it and going, dude, what if we had this guy a year earlier? You wouldn't have had to re-sign him this past offseason. You could have done that next year. Because you would have already known that he was what he was earlier. Or it makes sense somehow. Just don't ask me. But let's circle back to Tua here. So when you have a rookie season like Tua did, I don't understand where the argument comes in that there needs to be another guy. This is not a Josh Rosen situation. If you look at Josh Rosen's rookie season with Arizona, he was dead last in passer rating his rookie year. That's not an exaggeration. Look it up. Dead last. So it was fully justifiable to look at him and go, yeah, not the guy. But this is not the same situation. Tua, 87.1 passer rating. Let me give you some examples of guys who are very known in the NFL who had worse passer ratings their rookie year. Let's do this. Josh Allen. Rookie year, 67.9. Nobody said anything about getting rid of Josh Allen the next year. Look at him now. MVP candidate. Potentially the Bills are probably the favorite in the AFC right now. Imagine if they would have gave up on Josh Allen a year after his rookie year. Peyton Manning, 71.2. Yeah, I mean, probably not a good idea to keep him either, huh? Because he probably had a really low passer rating compared to the league, too, huh? Yeah. Imagine if they would have gave up on him, too, huh? Another Colt, Andrew Luck. Remember the Andrew Luck's rookie season? They went all the way to the AFC Championship game? Yeah, he did that with a 76.5 passer rating. That's 11 points lower than Tua. And imagine if the Colts, who sold out on Andrew Luck, the Suck for Luck campaign, imagine if they just said, yeah, I think it's time for you to go. Matthew Stafford. 11 years into this experiment now. 61 passer rating as a rookie. Detroit fans will tell you they love Matthew Stafford. They would be devastated if he wasn't on the team. But were they at his throat with pitchforks? I don't think so. Eli Manning, to nobody's surprise, 55.4. This is the one outlier on this list that you're going to look at and go, I could see that. Because Eli Manning had the lovely misfortune of having both a perfect passer rating game in his rookie season and also the negative of a passer rating being perfect, a 0.0 game in his rookie season, both in 1 year. So he had the extremes on both ends. But here are two really good ones for you. Jim Kelly, 83.3 passer rating, which, to be honest, for 1983, actually a pretty solid passer rating. He was probably 7th or 8th in the league then, if not higher. But Jim Kelly, 83.3, worse than Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, Jim Kelly probably didn't turn out too very good either. And then I'll finish it off with a guy who won a couple Super Bowls, a GM for a team up until yesterday, Hall of Famer, John Elway. Same draft class as Jim Kelly, had a 54.9 passer rating as a rookie. 54.9. 22.2 lower than Tua Tagovailoa's rookie season. But as I said, unfortunately for Tua, he plays in an era where having a low passer rating is unacceptable because the bar is set so high nowadays that you stand out when you have a low rating. Let me jump some numbers off here. I'm probably going to repeat these numbers on my future video. But in 2001, 20 years ago, 2001, there were 5 players in the league that year that had a passer rating of 90 or above. 5. 2 of those players had a 95 or above. 1 player in the league had a passer rating of 100 when the season concluded. 1. Fast forward 5 years. 2006. You have 8 players that finished that season with a passer rating of over 90. 5 of those players finished with a 95 or above. Once again, 1 player in 2006 finished with a passer rating of over 100. 1. Fast forward another 5 years. It's 2011. This is Aaron Rodgers, threw 45 touchdowns. You have Drew Brees slinging it. You have Peyton Manning in his prime with Denver. No, not Peyton Manning. But you have Tom Brady. 2006, or 2011, I'm sorry. 10 players in the league finished with a passer rating of 90 or above. 10. 6 finished with a passer rating of over 95. 4 with over 100. These numbers will make sense here when I get to 2020. 2016, 5 years ago, 5 seasons. 17 players had a passer rating of over 90. 10 of them had a passer rating over 95. 5 players passer rating over 100. 5. Fast forward to today. We have now concluded the 2020 season. 23 players finished with a passer rating of over 90. 23 out of 35 eligible quarterbacks that started that threw at least 100 pass attempts. 23. 17 of them finished with a passer rating of over 95. 17. That is still half the league over 95. 10 players finished with over 100 passer rating. 10. That's an NFL record. We've never had that before. 10 players finished with a passer rating over 100. This gets to my point. 2001, we have 5 players that finished with a passer rating of over 90. We have 23 today in a 20-year difference. Tua is a product of his time. He's a victim of his time. Because had he had a season like this 20 years ago in 2001, nobody would even care. They'd be like, he had a great rookie season. 87 passer rating, woo, rookie of the year. Not now. No. Because if you don't go out and produce and have a spectacular season, whether it's a 90, 95, 100, whatever your passer rating is as a rookie, if you don't go out there and compete at a high level, if you don't forget the fact that you're a rookie and compete on the same level as all the elite pros, you're not doing enough. And guys like Dak Prescott made that a lot harder on some of these rookie guys, because when you go out and have an 104.9 passer rating as a rookie, it makes it hard for all the guys coming behind you to look at your passer rating and say, damn, I'm only 30 points under that. But, it's unfair. It's unfair judgment for Tua, because he's a victim of his time, and any other year, probably a great rookie season. Problem is, the 2 guys that are his draft mates, the 2 other guys in the top 6, had spectacular years. And when you're the ugly duckling out of the group, it doesn't matter how pretty you are to everybody else, you're still the ugly duckling. And Tua will be fine going forward, and I honestly think if Miami drafts quarterback, they are driving themselves into the dirt. You have the number 3 pick, you need help on the offense, go get Devontae Smith. He just won a Heisman tonight. Go get him. No question. This shouldn't be anybody else you're looking at. Go get a guy that can make plays for Tua, a guy that Tua played with. The chemistry's already there. Oh, God. But, yeah, I mean, the people online that are giving Tua shit, it's just not fair, guys. People saying he can't make passes, that he doesn't make any tight throws, that they've watched his film all year long and haven't said one nice thing about him. Yeah, okay. I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure his 6-3 record was all done by the running game. Who's the running back from Miami? Does anybody even know off the top of their head? Can anybody even tell me? Is he a Pro Bowler this year? Did he have any 100-yard games? 150? No? Okay. I might not know Miami's depth chart very well, which honestly I don't. A couple of years ago I could have probably told you everybody, but I know Xavier Howard. That's about it right now. But Miami 10-6 this year, and honestly it wouldn't have happened without Tua. 6-3 and 9 starts is pretty fantastic. Do the math, it's a 66.6% winning percentage he's got going on. I mean, if he started 16 games, he probably would have led the team to a 10-6 record as well. Maybe even 11-5. I can't do that math in my head right now. But, Miami would have been in the same situation if they didn't keep pulling him. If they didn't start Ryan Fitzpatrick for the first 6 games of the year. They would have been in a very, very similar situation. Who knows? They might have been better. It boils back to my point that if you started Tua week 1, Miami might have been a playoff team. But you wasted your time starting another guy, a journeyman, who's been proven in many different locations to not be the guy for anybody. And he goes out and goes 3-3 for you. Tua might have went out and went 4-2, and that might have been the difference between you being a playoff team right now and not. But you chose not to start him. You chose to start the other guy because it's the right thing to do. Because that's the philosophy people do. He needs to sit and learn. Yeah, sitting and learning. I'm pretty sure that's outdated, just like half the other things that some of these coaches and organizations follow. Sitting and learning doesn't work. Nobody sits and learns anymore. You pay a guy, he needs to play. You pay him to play. You draft a guy in the first round, you are instantly creating a face of your franchise. The face of your franchise should not be sitting on the bench. Hint, hint to Philadelphia. But the face of your franchise should not be sitting on the bench. And I don't care who the other guy is. I don't care who the guy that is starting is. If he's already the face of your franchise, if he's a proven elite future Hall of Famer, great. Chances are you probably shouldn't have drafted a guy then if you have him, unless you know he's on his last leg. And then you have teams that refuse to draft guys, even though they knew their quarterback's coming to an end. Hint, hint, New Orleans. Because you can't tell me Taysom Hill's the future. I don't see anything this year out of him that impressed me. He's not a quarterback. He's not. He's the exact thing you guys paid him for. He's a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, he can catch the ball, he can run the ball, he can probably fucking kick the ball too if he had to. But can he throw? No. Is he an elite quarterback? No. His best games this year came against bad competition. And when the first time he played a really good defense in Philadelphia, they lost. They lost to a rookie quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Because Taysom Hill couldn't create plays. He couldn't win the game for them. Because the other team actually had a pretty solid defense on the other side. So, I mean, well, I'm going to say this is probably the end of it. This is my first one, so trust me, I know I have a lot of work to do. The mic might not be working probably. It sounds like sometimes it's being louder than others, and I do apologize for that. But, this is the first one. So, if you're watching this, I thank you from the depths of my heart for checking it out. Hopefully you like it. Please, any criticism you have, put it down in the comments. I feed off constructive criticism. So, if you tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I could do better, by all means. And, if you just want to say that you hate Michigan and you hate the Eagles, comment that too. But if you do like it, please, feel free to like it. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to tell your friends. Pass it along. Whatever you got to do. I'm going to start making this regular. I should be uploading at least one video a week. Hopefully going to start doing more than that. But, I'm new to this fucking computer and mic and shit. I've never done this before. But I feel like I have a lot of sports opinions that need to be heard. And I feel like I have a lot of opinions that people would agree with. And, I've followed sports for 26 years. And creating this channel, I think, is good for me. And I think it gives me confidence in my opinions. It gives me a platform to tell people things. Because, rambling on social media and just firing back at people with comments, it's boring. And I don't like doing text. My fingers hurt. I got shit to do. I got work and kids. But if I can come in here and, have some peace and, quiet and talk on a microphone and post it online and see what people bitch about, then by all means, I'm ready to do it, guys. But once again, any criticism you guys have, please let me know. If you like it, please tell me. And if you have any subjects you want me to talk about in the future, please comment those below as well. Because I'm open. I got pages of shit. I keep track of notes. I got a whole schedule. I got 7 other subjects I'm going to discuss in the next month. And, as the NFL offseason comes around, as hockey starts for the Canucks on the 11th, as these sports start to roll out and we start getting into the boring time of the year, when football's gone, it's going to be a lot of downtime and a lot of time of me talking on this microphone. So, I appreciate you guys for checking it out. And like I said, any feedback you guys can give me, please give it below. Like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.